Tonight we are entering one group from the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Four countries, four flags, four different cultures, and four different football stories meeting in the same group. In this video, we will travel calmly through the countries of this group. We will not only look at the teams, we will look at the countries behind them, their cities, their food, their traditions, their famous places, their football history, and the important players who will carry their hopes onto the pitch. Because in the World Cup, every match is more than a score. Every country arrives with memory, identity, culture, and millions of people watching from home. So take a slow breath, relax your shoulders, and let's begin our quiet journey through this World Cup group. The United States is one of the three host countries of the 2026 World Cup, a vast country of huge cities, long highways, different climates, powerful sports culture, and many different identities living side by side. It stretches from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, from snowy northern states to warm southern coastlines, from deserts and mountains to forests, lakes, and crowded city streets. The United States is not one single image. It is many landscapes, many accents, many communities, and many stories gathered under one flag. To understand the United States, you have to imagine more than stadiums. You have to imagine hamburgers, barbecue, hot dogs, apple pie, fried chicken, different pizza styles, Tex-Mex gumbo, and the endless variety of regional food. You have to imagine New York City with its skyline, Los Angeles with its lights and entertainment culture, Las Vegas in the desert, the Grand Canyon carved into the earth, Miami by the ocean, Washington, D.C. with its monuments, Yellowstone with its wild landscapes, and San Francisco beside the bay. The United States brings scale to the World Cup. Huge stadiums, huge distances, huge crowds, huge media attention. It is a country that knows how to turn sports into spectacle, and in 2026, football arrives on one of the biggest stages the country has ever offered. This is the culture the United States brings to the World Cup. Football, or soccer as it is often called in America, has had a different journey here. For many years, it lived behind American football, basketball, baseball, and ice hockey. But slowly, the game grew. Children played it in neighborhoods and schools. Immigrant communities kept it alive. Major League Soccer expanded. European football became easier to watch, and a new generation began to see soccer as part of American sports life. Now, in 2026, the United States is not just participating, it is hosting the world and trying to prove that soccer has become part of its future. And within this team, there are important names carrying that future. Christian Pulisic is the most recognizable American star, a player known for movement, confidence, creativity, and the pressure of being the face of a generation. Weston McKennie brings energy, power, and personality in midfield. Tyler Adams gives the team leadership, discipline, and defensive balance. Folarin Balogun adds speed, finishing, and danger in attack. Gio Reyna brings technical quality and imagination. Tim Ream gives the team experience and calm leadership, while Anthony Robinson adds pace, crossing, and modern fullback energy on the left side. The United States also carries football memories from the past. The 1994 World Cup helped introduce the global game to a wider American audience. Since then, the country has built leagues, academies, stadiums, and a stronger football identity. The story has not always been smooth, but it has kept moving forward. In 2026, the United States arrives with pressure and possibility. Playing at home gives the team energy, but it also brings expectation. Every match becomes a chance to win new fans, inspire young players, and show that the sport has found a deeper place in American culture. So when the United States steps onto the pitch, remember this. You are not only watching 11 players, you are watching a country of giant cities, regional foods, national parks, massive stadiums, many cultures, growing football belief, and a home World Cup dream trying to become part of American sports history. And now we move to another story from this group, a different flag, a different culture, a different football rhythm, another country, carrying its own history, its own flavors, its own places, and its own dream. Let's continue. Paraguay is a landlocked country in the heart of South America, surrounded by Argentina, Brazil, and Bolivia. It is a place of rivers, warm traditions, quiet strength, and a deep national identity shaped by both Spanish and Guarani culture. Its capital is Asunción, one of the oldest cities in South America. The city sits beside the Paraguay River, carrying history, heat, music, and the calm rhythm of everyday life. Paraguay may not have an ocean, but its rivers, forests, towns, and traditions give the country a strong and recognizable soul. To understand Paraguay, you have to imagine more than stadiums. You have to imagine the taste of sopa paraguaya, a soft cornbread-like dish that is one of the country's most famous foods. You have to imagine warm chipa, beiju made from cassava starch, asado shared with family, and tereré, the cold herbal drink that belongs deeply to Paraguayan daily life. You have to imagine Asunción, Encarnación, the Jesuit missions, Yibaicuy National Park, and the Paraguay River moving slowly through the country's story. Paraguay feels like a country of patience, warmth, and hidden intensity. Its Guarani language and culture are not only part of the past, they are part of modern Paraguayan identity. The country carries music, family gatherings, traditional food, and a strong South American spirit that does not need to be loud to be powerful. This is the culture Paraguay brings to the World Cup. Football in Paraguay is tough, emotional, and proud. The national team is known as La Albiroja because of its red and white shirt. Paraguayan football is often built on defensive strength, physical courage, discipline, and the ability to make every match difficult. Paraguay has always carried the image of a team that refuses to break easily. It may not always play the most glamorous football, but it plays with sacrifice, concentration, and heart. In South America, where qualification is one of the hardest roads in world football, simply reaching the World Cup already means surviving a long and demanding battle. And within this team, there are important names carrying the story forward. Gustavo Gomez is the captain and defensive leader, a strong presence at the back and one of the most respected Paraguayan players of his generation. Miguel Almiron brings speed, movement, and attacking energy, a player known for his work rate and direct style. Julio Enciso is one of the most exciting young talents, capable of creating danger with dribbling, shooting, and imagination. Diego Gomez adds modern midfield quality and promise, while Antonio Sanabria gives Paraguay experience and goal threat in attack. Omar Alderete and Junior Alonso bring strength, balance, and defensive reliability. Paraguay also remembers legends like José Luis Chilavert, Roque Santa Cruz, Carlos Gamarra, and Salvador Cabañas, players who helped shape the country's football image across different generations. Their legacy is part of the shirt. In 2026, Paraguay returns to the World Cup with a familiar identity, difficult to beat, proud to represent its people, and ready to fight for every ball. It is a team that may not always dominate the spotlight, but can make any opponent uncomfortable. So when Paraguay steps onto the pitch, remember this. You are not only watching 11 players, You are watching a landlocked country of Guarani culture, warm traditions, river landscapes, famous food, red and white pride, defensive courage, and a South American football spirit that never gives up easily. And now we move to another story from this group, a different flag, a different culture, a different football rhythm, another country, carrying its own history, its own flavors, its own places, and its own dream. Let's continue. Turkey is a country that connects Europe and Asia, a place where continents, cultures, empires, seas, and histories meet in one powerful national story. Its largest city, Istanbul, is one of the most important cities in the world. It stands between two continents, with the Bosphorus flowing through it like a line between past and present. Turkey is also known through Ankara, its capital, the fairy chimneys of Cappadocia, the ancient ruins of Ephesus, the white terraces of Pamukkale, the beaches of Antalya, and the mysterious statues of Mount Nemrut. To understand Türkiye, you have to imagine more than stadiums. You have to imagine the smell of kebab, doner, lahmacun, pide, menemen, manti, and fresh bread coming from an oven. You have to imagine baklava shining with syrup, Turkish tea served in small glasses, and Turkish coffee poured slowly with tradition and memory. You have to imagine Hagia Sophia in Istanbul, hot air balloons rising over Cappadocia, ancient stones in Ephesus, turquoise water on the Mediterranean coast, and crowded streets filled with sound, food, history, and life. Turkey feels like a country of intensity. Its history carries Byzantium, the Ottoman Empire, the Republic, migration, trade, music, faith, architecture, and family. Its culture is emotional, generous, loud, warm, and deeply connected to memory. This is the culture Turkey brings to the World Cup. Football in Turkey is not calm. It is emotional, dramatic, passionate, and sometimes impossible to separate from daily life. Stadiums are loud, fans sing with their whole bodies. A match can feel like a celebration, a storm, and a national conversation all at once. The national team is often known as the Ay Yıldızlılar, the Crescent Stars, a name connected to the Turkish flag. When Turkey plays, the red shirt carries pride, pressure, and the feeling of millions of people watching with hope. Turkey's greatest World Cup memory came in 2002 when the national team reached the semi-finals and finished third. That tournament became part of Turkish football history. It gave the country unforgettable nights, unforgettable players, and the belief that Turkey could stand among the strongest teams in the world. And now, in 2026, Turkey arrives with a new generation. Hakan Çalhanoğlu is the captain and one of the leaders, a midfielder known for passing, set pieces, control, and experience. Arda Güler brings creativity, elegance, and the feeling of a player who can change the rhythm of a match with one touch. Kenan Yıldız adds confidence, dribbling, and attacking imagination. Orkun Kökçü gives the midfield technique and intelligence, while Ferdi Kadıoğlu brings energy, movement, and modern fullback quality. Kerem Aktürkoğlu and Barış Alper Yılmaz add speed, directness, and danger in attack. Uğurcan Çakır gives the team security in goal, and Meri Demiral brings strength and defensive presence. Turkey also carries the memory of legends and important names from the past. Rüştü Reçber, Tugay Kerimoğlu, Nihat Kahveci, Emre Belözoğlu, Tuncay Şanlı, Arda Turan, and many others who shaped the country's football identity across generations. In 2026, Turkey arrives with talent, expectation, and emotion. It is a team that can be unpredictable, but that unpredictability is also part of its power. When Turkey finds rhythm, belief, and confidence, it can turn a match into something unforgettable. So when Turkey steps onto the pitch, remember this. You are not only watching 11 players, you are watching a country of two continents, ancient cities, deep history, strong flavors, red flags, loud songs, emotional football culture, and a new generation trying to write the next great chapter after 2002. And now we move to another story from this group, a different flag, a different culture, a different football rhythm, another country, carrying its own history, its own flavors, its own places, and its own dream. Let's continue. Australia is a country and a continent surrounded by the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. It is a place of wide beaches, red deserts, ancient landscapes, unique wildlife, modern cities, and a relaxed but deeply competitive sporting culture. Its capital is Canberra, but Australia is often imagined through cities like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, and Adelaide. It is a country of long distances and open spaces where the ocean, the desert, and the city all feel like different parts of the same national story. To understand Australia, you have to imagine more than stadiums. You have to imagine the taste of meat pies, barbecue, pavlova, lamingtons, Vegemite, fresh seafood, and a flat white coffee on a quiet morning. You have to imagine the Sydney Opera House beside the harbour, the Great Barrier Reef under blue water, Melbourne's cafes and sporting culture, Uluru rising from the red earth, Bondi Beach beside the ocean, and the endless silence of the outback. Australia feels like a country shaped by nature and distance. Oceans, deserts, forests, reefs, animals, road trips, and outdoor life all belong to its image. But it is also one of the most sport-loving countries in the world. Cricket, rugby, Australian rules football, tennis, swimming, and football all compete for attention, and Australians bring a serious competitive spirit to almost everything they play. This is the culture Australia brings to the World Cup. Football in Australia has had to fight for its place. For many years, it lived behind other major sports, but the national team, known as the Socceroos, slowly built its own identity. Australian football is often connected with physical strength, discipline, teamwork, and the ability to suffer through difficult matches without losing belief. The Socceroos have become a familiar World Cup team. They are not always seen as favorites, but they are rarely easy to play against. Australia often arrives with a direct style, strong mentality, and a sense that every player understands the value of wearing the green and gold shirt. And within this team, there are important names carrying the story forward. Jackson Irvine is one of the leaders, a midfielder known for experience, intelligence, and emotional commitment. Harry Sautar brings height, strength, and defensive power. Matthew Ryan carries years of experience in goal, while Patrick Beach represents a new generation of Australian goalkeeping. Nestori Irankunda brings speed, confidence, and attacking excitement, a young player with the kind of energy that can change a match. Connor Metcalf adds movement and midfield quality, while Matthew Leckie and Aziz Behich bring veteran experience from past World Cups. Australia also carries the memory of legends like Tim Cahill, Mark Viduka, Harry Kewell, Mark Schwarzer, and Mile Jedinak. Tim Cahill especially remains one of the great symbols of Australian football, remembered for his goals, his headers, and his famous corner flag celebration. In 2026, Australia arrives with its usual fighting spirit. It is a team that understands travel, pressure, physical battles, and the role of the underdog. For Australian fans, the World Cup is not only about football, It is a moment when the country gathers around a team that has learned to compete far from home against the strongest nations in the world. So when Australia steps onto the pitch, remember this. You are not only watching 11 players, you are watching a country of oceans, deserts, wildlife, famous food, giant landscapes, sporting pride, green and gold belief, and a football team that never comes to the World Cup just to take part. And that was one group from the 2026 FIFA World Cup. 4 countries, each carrying something different, different languages, different foods, different songs, different histories, different football dreams. This is what makes the World Cup beautiful. It is not only about who wins, it is about how the world gathers in one tournament. A flag becomes more than a flag, a team becomes more than 11 players, and a match becomes more than 90 minutes. Now, when you see these countries on the World Cup screen, they will not feel like simple names in a group. They will feel like places, like people, like cultures, like stories. And tonight you learned one more part of the World Cup.